Okay.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened to my internet.
Okay. So it says that we're recording. We just talked a little bit more about what you said. We're
Yeah,
talking about
I was
urgent
pretty
and
much
important.
done. Just,
And
yeah, he basically says that as we put things into boxes 1 and 3, 1, 2, and 3, everything in box 4, we're not going to have time for anymore. So we're going to eliminate all those things that are not urgent and not important, and that will enable us more time to focus on the rest of it.
yeah,
All right, cool. Any other thoughts on that, or we can move forward?
I really liked where it talked about how you can't save time, like you can save money and then you can draw on it later, but you can't do that with time. So you have to really like I in my practicum class, we taught someone about a zero-based time budget, just like a zero-based dollar budget, where you plan out every hour of your day, and then you can kind of see what you're doing and get rid of those things or delegate things that aren't important to you or that don't need to be done by you specifically.
Nice. I like that a lot. All right. So the next question is, how can we improve ourselves and others? Oh, wait, no, we already did that one. Consider how you are using your time right now. Will you use of time today to make a difference tomorrow?
For me, I feel like, I mean, I know I waste time on stupid things sometimes, but I am grateful that, I mean, we're all attending college right now. You know, we're taking college classes, and I feel like that's a really good use of time because we're educating ourselves on how to become a better member of society and how to advocate for things that matter to us in a way that's like not demeaning, you know? So.
For sure. I totally agree.
I think also that if we look at it from the other side of the coin, like Emily said, that time that we do waste is time that we could have been doing something that now, instead of being able to do it today, we have to do it tomorrow because we didn't get to it today. But if we weren't wasting that time and doing it more today, it would give us more time tomorrow to do other important things. You know, whether that be spend time with our families or serve somebody else or, you know, have just something put off today till tomorrow obviously impacts your time tomorrow. You're starting with a deficit tomorrow automatically. So we shouldn't put things off if we can avoid having to do so.
Totally.
I'm like a really great procrastinator, and I try not to be, but it actually seems like the more stuff I have to do, the better organized I am with my time. Does that make sense? Like then I make sure that I fit everything in, but if I don't have a whole bunch of stuff to do, then I end up wasting more time. So any ideas on how to not put off till tomorrow? What did you say?
What's your bishop's number?
No,
He'll
no.
keep you busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he would. Yeah, but I don't know. That's just how I kind of function. And I keep thinking I need to change those ways, but maybe I'm getting too old.
I think one thing that helps me, this is my personality. I love lists. And so when I have a list and then I put everything that I want to have done that day, it's so satisfying for me to check something off. And so that's something like when I do that and I have a list, like I feel like I'm way more productive. I've tried like planning out my time like hour by hour, and that can sometimes like be overwhelming because if I don't get like my homework done by the time that I have it scheduled, then I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm now behind, you know. So lists for me and my personality, that's really helpful. But I know everyone works differently.
I'm kind of the same way, and I didn't really realize it until this semester came because I'm taking strictly just online classes. And so there was a lot of things that I felt like I was missing or putting off. And so I just went through every morning and I just wrote down like what I have to do today, what is due today, what I could do to prep myself so that tomorrow's not as stressful. And then I'd write them down in order of like importance and like what I need to do first. Like assignments due today need to be at the top of my list, and then things that I can prep for tomorrow are at the bottom of my list. And then as I just feel so much more accomplished and more motivated to get things done when I can like see like I checked everything off that I had to do today, and that felt great. So that's something that's helped me, because I'm the same way. I procrastinate until the last second, and it always just ends up being stressful. So that's what I've kind of done to help myself not do that.
Yeah, I do have a whiteboard that at the beginning of the week I write down what's due in every class and what day it's due.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe doing it daily too would help.
Yeah.
I go through phases where I do lists, or I try to keep a planner, or I calendar out every hour. But I had a member of a bishopric once whose dad was always telling him, why do you always procrastinate till the last minute? And he says, because Dad, then it only takes me a minute. but he's like, I realize now that's not the best way to live, but it's true. Well, you don't do your best work at the last minute, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there's all these things about time, and I just have a hard time with time.
All right. Sorry, I can see my husband out our window helping this lady carry bags up the stairs. Okay, sorry.
And you let him know that that's a great use of his time.
I know. I was just thinking that's such a great example of this. All right. So next question. Do you personally feel that time is more valuable than money, education? Why or why not?
I was going to say it actually ties into what you just saw your husband do. You can't take with you when you die like money or education, or I guess you can take your education, but the time we spend with people is the most important, and people want your time. Going back to what Andre said about him calling Shauna's bishop to give her stuff to do, it makes me think I'm really appreciative for the church and for making us go out of our comfort zones to get callings. Because I know that if it were up to me, like I probably wouldn't prioritize going ministering like every month or every week, you know what I mean? But when we're kind of pushed to do those things and I actually go out and do them, it makes me appreciate what's most important is time and how we spend it with people and how we care about other people.
Totally.
I think when you just look at the four categories there, time, money, education, and health, none of them exist without time. Time is that fourth dimension. You know, when we think about time and we think about how we start here and we progress through time, and we think of it as a solid object between those 2 points, your health, your education, and money don't have anything to do if you don't have time to go with it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how rich you are if you don't have time to spend the money or to enjoy it, how smart you are if you don't have the ability to share your knowledge with others or to educate others or to help teach others, and how healthy you are. I mean, drop dead tomorrow. Oh, he was healthy, but oh well, you know, he doesn't have time to enjoy it. So time is the whole essence of our being on this earth. You know, if we eliminate time from everything, we have nothing. We're not even here. So I absolutely think that it's the most important of all of our things available to us.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that. I was doing my journal entry and I got to that question right before I had to come on here for the Skype call. And anyway, I was like, I don't really know what to put for that, but I feel like what you said, Andre, is like spot on, because if we didn't have time, we really don't have time, we'd be dead. And without time, we wouldn't have any way of making or spending money, gaining an education, or having good health, because we'd be dead, you know? So time really is the dimension that's the common denominator in all of those. You have to have time in order to really do anything of importance or substance.
All right. Let's see. How can a wise use of our time help with our children and family advocacy efforts? I feel like we've kind of touched on this one a little bit already. But what do you guys think?
Well, we can use our time to actually advocate or to research to make ourselves more informed rather than just depending on other people to keep us informed. We can find out things for ourselves.
Yeah. All right. How can I defend and advocate for the family with a small amount of time?
They're making us do it this semester with our blog posts and our Facebook posts and our social media sharing. Every time that we announce to somebody or we pronounce to somebody why we do what we do or why we are the way we are, we're advocating for family efforts. You know, I mean, something as simple as I've been at the food counter at Costco and my daughter will be standing next to me and she will be polite and saying, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, whatever. And the counter person will look at me and say, oh, your daughter is so polite, or, you know, and it's like, yeah, she learns it at home. She learns it at church. And we're just extremely happy that she's, you know, learning from those sources. And then inevitably the question is always, oh, really? What church do you go to? You know, and you get an opportunity to tell them. Now, you may not have an opportunity to talk to them further than that, but they'll see you again when you come back in 2 weeks or, you know, whenever you come back. And at that point, they may ask, they may not. They may ask somebody else that they know. But anytime that we open our mouths and we live as an example and we show people why we do what we do is an opportunity to advocate for our families.
All right. Anything else on that question?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that through this class, I've learned and am still learning that it doesn't have to be some big, huge gesture to make a difference. Like Andre said, just simple little things that we do can make a difference. Probably we advocate more than we know we do just by being who we are and talking about things that are important to us.
Yeah. All right. How would this element of consecration make you a more effective child and family advocate?
So the element of consecration is talked about as time, right? Like I'm reading that right?
I think so.
Okay. I don't know if this really answers the question, but it makes me think quality time is more important than quantity. I know the quality time that I've spent with like my parents has made more of a difference in how much time I actually spend with them. So really, like, we can save time by making sure that our time is spent in quality with other people.
All right. Anything else on that question? All right. In what ways does Satan distract or divert us from living this area of consecration more consistently?
In every way. TV, billboards, radio, advertising, computer games, just anything and everything that makes us receiving. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and I do it too. It's not anything I'm saying. My wife laughs at me because I'll go run 10 miles for a free t-shirt. You get me into a 5K or a 10K and there's a t-shirt at the end, I'll go do it, And I'm not saying that the run is the bad thing, but we're all about gratification. Whether it be the building up your character in the most recent game, or whether it's the feedback that you get from, something, it's all about what can I do now and what can I get now in return for what I've done. Nobody thinks anymore about, okay, I'm going to live my life today so that 40 years from now, I have these things, or I have children that know what they're doing. I have a home that's paid for. I have no debt. I have all these things accomplished. It's not about that anymore. It's about immediate gratification, no matter where it comes from, and that's the way that the natural man is set up to work. And it's the way that over the decades, over the centuries, over the millenniums, that's always been the way we act. And it's only as we learn more that we need to control the natural man. It's one of the reasons we have Fast Sunday every month, so that we learn to control the physical part of our nature and learn to put something off because there's a greater reward. And that's just a stepping stone to proper use of our time, proper use of what's going on, and being able to see, okay, if I don't do this right now, I mean, does it really make a difference in my life today? If I play Farmville or Bejeweled, and these may be games that are ancient for you guys, but they're the only ones I can remember that people play, or Minecraft or something along those lines, is it going to make a difference in my life if I don't play this game? Absolutely not, because it's not something that changes who you are. It's not something that develops who you are, and it's not something that gives you a tangible reward later on in life,
Yeah.
I think that goes back to what Emily said too, though, about spending quality time with people. Like, I know that my grandkids and my kids, when they were little, loved to play, like, this is going to date me too, like Duck Hunt or Mario Brothers or, pinball or whatever. And if I would just, and I don't love video games, never have, but if I would just spend a few minutes playing that game with them, then they're thrilled. For one thing, because they know that I don't like it. So they know that I'm doing something with them that they like to do, that's important to them. So I think that, it's how you play the game, not just if you play the game. Does that make sense? Or what your motive is behind it. Like, if I loved video games and I was just sitting there playing video games and ignoring my children, then that would not be a great thing. But to join with them for a few minutes to make them feel like I care about what they care about, I think was important.
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, last question. What connections do you see with the Reflections on a Consecrated Life article to the Why Time Matters readings?
I kind of felt like they both shared a similar message. One was just more of a secular view, and another one was the spiritual view. And so I felt like it was nice to read both of them to kind of get a well-rounded, what's the word I'm looking for? Perspective, like a well-rounded perspective on time and how like Heavenly Father views time, as well as how we as society view time and how we can change our time to be more productive.
All right, any other thoughts on that? Otherwise, we can go into the summary.
Okay. So, sorry, I hope I can read my writing. So we talked about what a ministry is, and Andre explained that can be actually preaching about what's right, and about same-sex marriage, and about traditional marriage, and it also can be supporting people who do have those same-sex attractions and helping them understand the truth about it. We talked about how we can be examples of happy families in living out the truth about marriage and human sexuality. Then we talked about if we think the United States will ever change their view about the redefinition of marriage, and basically we don't. That Pandora's box is open, and we can't put it all back in. We probably won't ever get it back due to government and politics and strong voices that are out there. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep fighting for it and try to make a difference. And that redefining marriage doesn't change what we know it to be. We talked a little bit about judicial activism and how the courts aren't supposed to be making laws or changing laws, just interpreting laws and deciding if they're constitutional or not. So they're kind of overstepping their bounds when they do what the Supreme Court did with the same-sex marriage case. Then we talked about what sort of society our children will be living in, and we thought with the breakdown of family comes the breakdown of society. But we won't realize it until it's too late. And we compared like Noah and how people didn't really get on the ark until it was too late for them to get on the ark. They didn't even want to, and about how the Nephites and Lamanites realized also when it was too late that they should have been obeying the commandments so that they could have the blessings of God with them. I think I didn't answer that one right. Oh, that was the breakdown of the family and the breakdown of society. Sorry. What we thought our children would be living in the next generation would be, Emily mentioned that she thought that love between two people would be the focus rather than, or just love between people, actual love, not protecting children would be the focus. And Chloe mentioned that it would be a more selfish society. It's all about me. And then Andre mentioned that we need to think about where is all this going? What's it going to lead to with as far as what people claim as a valid relationship or a marriage. And our children will just have to follow higher laws. They're going to have a lot to deal with. And the other Emily mentioned that we'll become more and more polarized, and we won't be a unified country anymore. And we talked about chapter 9, how it showed hope for the future. We talked about how we still have to speak up, we can still make a difference, and how the individuals and states are still fighting for their rights, even if the federal government is kind of overpowering those. And Chloe said, if we don't speak up at crucial times, then we become part of the problem. We talked about action points that we can do personally. And Emily shared how Elder Rasma came and talked with them and talked about advocating for family and religious freedom in the community, just by things like being involved in the PTA or donating time. And that can give us hope that our church leaders have hope and faith in us and our abilities to advocate. And we can protect our freedom to speak. And we not only do we need to speak it, but we need to be an example of the truth about marriage. How can we improve? By wise use of time. And Andre pointed out that we talk about this all the time in church, at home, about being actively engaged in good causes. And we need to think about what we're doing with our time and make sure that we're doing those things that are important. If you guys have anything, just jump in if I'm missing something. How are you using your time right now? We talked about how education is a good use of time because we're learning, and that the time we do waste is time we could be doing something else, or the time we waste today means that we have to do something tomorrow, so we shouldn't put things off. We talked a little bit about procrastination and ways to avoid that by making lists, checking things off, and just putting things in order of importance, and then that can help us have a sense of accomplishment as well. We talked about, is time more valuable than money, health, or education? We decided that time is the most valuable thing, because if we didn't have time, we wouldn't have any of those other things. And if we're focused on all those other things, we sometimes don't have time to actually enjoy them or share them with other people. So we have to have time in order to do anything of importance or substance. How can wise use of our time help with family advocacy? We can spend our time to actually advocate or just researching to become informed. We talked about how we can defend the family and advocate with just small amounts of time, and that's stuff that we've been learning in this class, just Facebook posts and blogs, living as an example and teaching our children, and just opening our mouths and talking when people mention something. We can say where we learned that or why we believe that, and just being who we are. We talked about time, consecrating our time, and how we can be a more efficient child and family advocate. And Emily mentioned about just making sure our time is quality time, and that we're focusing on people when we're spending time with them. We talked about ways that Satan distracts and diverts us, just through everything around us today, and it's all about instant gratification with computer games and ads and TV and radio, and it's more about what can I get now and not about how is what I'm doing today going to help me in the future. So we talked about just controlling the natural man and putting off some things now for something better. And the connections that we can make between the Why Time Matters article and the Reflections on a Consecrated Life talk from Elder Christofferson, that those came together to give us a well-rounded perspective on time, a secular view and a spiritual view of the same concepts and principles, so that we can have a well-rounded view of our time and how we can best use it. That's it. Did I miss anything? Anyone have anything to add?
No, you did a great job.
Yeah, good job.
Sounded great.
Okay, good.
Well, I believe this is our last meeting, so we will not be meeting next week.
Yeah. Well, Good luck, everyone, with your finals and
Yeah.
whatever projects you have to finish up before the end of the school year. And Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Merry
definitely.
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
So we
Right.
close with a prayer.
Oh yeah. I can go ahead and say it. Our Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for this day. We're thankful for the time that we were able to meet together today and discuss the topics of this week's readings and lessons. And we ask that we will be able to remember that and do our best to advocate for what we believe in and what we want to be important to our society. We are so grateful for this group and what we've learned from each other. And we ask that everyone will be able to do well in their finals and have a safe holiday, whether they're traveling or not, and have a good new year. And we are so grateful for our education and for BYU Idaho. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
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 I've already posted the first half of the link of the meeting in the link. So if you just want to add the second part into the same link, Shauna, you can probably do that.
Okay. Or I can like just reply to it or just.
Yeah, you can reply
Okay.
to it, add a new one, or however you want to do it. But I already posted
Okay.
the first half. It uploaded while we were still completing the meeting. So
Okay. So if I just push stop recording,
Yep.
it'll go ahead and do everything for me.
it'll stop
Okay.
and do everything on cloud, and then you'll get an email.
Okay. I just don't want to stop it if I have to do something else. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording.
Yeah, and then
Want
you
to
can
stop.
copy the link from your email and post it into the discussion board where Andrea was posting.